Buongiorno and welcome to Tuscany. I have 6 days to explore this glorious place. It's going to be everything from blue sky days like this right the way through to storms. Storms equals rain, equals humidity, equals the potential for mist, which will make me very, very happy. Now, Tuscany is famous for a number of things, including those wonderful vistas, olives, wine, oil and lots of gloriousness.
Now, one of the great joys of being able to travel in Tuscany is to explore on the white roads, those roads that will often lead you to hidden gems. The problem is you just stop so many times to take in the view and go, "Ah, that's gorgeous." Now, I visited Tuscany a few years ago as a newbie in autumn. At the time, I was really pleased with a lot of my shots, but I really hadn't got a clue what I was doing. I will be referencing some of those shots in this video because I'm looking at the difference that a season makes to the wonderfulness that you can capture through your lens.
So it's late May and we're in Tuscany just at the time when the poppies are out and the crops are looking really quite lush, which is quite exciting. We are also surrounded by olives and vineyards, which might make for a very nice few days. Sunrise is 5:40 here and you probably get about 2 hours at the moment before it becomes a bit too hazy. We haven't had mist this morning, although earlier in the month there was plenty of it about, but we have got some rain later on in the week. So hopefully the morning after that, when we get some nice humidity, that might cause it to happen. But today's about exploring and trying to work out where I want to come back to in the future days.
Now, having just tempted you with the most photographed house in Italy, I thought I'd show you the importance of a foreground. May gives you flowers, and how. Now, in October, I had to rely very much more on the light doing its thing because I didn't have the luxury of a foreground interest in the form of crops or flowers. Now, the interesting light did last longer than it did in May. However, no interesting light, no interesting photo.
This is truly one of those sights. When you first see it, it just makes you go, wow. But it doesn't look real. Ideally, I'd like to have as little glass in front of my camera as possible, but because the light is so bright at this point in time, I'm just trying to have to balance out the scene. I might wait here for a little while just to see how it goes as the afternoon progresses. So at the moment I've got these beautiful flowers in front. I'm going to throw them out of focus, which could be quite distracting, but I'm quite liking the concept. I've got my wiggly road, I've got 2 sets of houses, I've eradicated ponds, I've eradicated the Instagrammers because they're posing a little bit over the hill here. We've got this place to ourselves at the moment, except for a load of bees, and if I stand up, I can hear the frogs in the background. It's really quite charming. So this was my concept. I stayed here for quite some time watching the light pass. The problem was the later the afternoon got, the more the storms rolled in, and it wasn't anything dramatic, so I lost the light and it just killed the scene completely. Well, this is the best I got before that afternoon downpour. I can really see why sunset light is so important here. The problem with this time of year is if you want that lovely golden light, you've only really got about an hour and a half to 2 hours of it before it becomes too harsh. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second because I'm going to swing you round to show you a very famous spot. So in the distance there you're seeing the Poggiocavilli. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. As you can see, it's really harsh light. Now normally people would shoot sort of just off the road or up that driveway of cypress trees. But if you go down into this field, there's a few poppies in there. You get down low and you can eliminate that road. But because there is wind, I have to throw my poppies out of focus and ensure that I am tack sharp on the building and those trees there.
Poor light and a fat blade of grass in the front there. This is definitely for my delete folder.
I need to come back when there's better light, lower light, so I can accentuate the curves in the hill in the background, but also so I don't get a kind of blown out sky.
Now, I didn't have to wait too long. The afternoon storms meant that the next morning we had some glorious mist, but not where I originally looked, which was Belvedere. I went down the road, back to this place, and wow. I spent a couple of slow hours watching the sun, the colours and the mist interplay.
And I confess to taking an awful lot of photos from various places, just watching the mist roll in and out of my shot. So let's take you back to October. Yes, okay, it's a different time of day, but also we're lacking that foreground interest in terms of the subtleness of the crops, the textures and the softness that it brings. It just lacks a certain charm.
San Quirico d'Orcia is absolutely the epicentre of lots of photographic locations. Hello, pigeon.
As with small towns all over the world, getting up early can really afford you some of the best times to explore and just have the place to yourself. We chose to stay here for one reason. It was just so central. So many beautiful gems within a 12-kilometre radius. It just meant that I'd have a little bit extra time in bed and a chance to just get to know a base for a few days. Our photographic exploits centred around these 3 roads, although we did go on to Monticello on those white roads you saw at the beginning of this video. It's worth noting that the sunrise in May and October is very different. I couldn't have got half the photos that I wanted to in October because I just didn't have the sun in the right place. This scene wouldn't have been side-lit, we'd have had more of a silhouette effect. Whereas this October shot, were it taken in May, would have featured my shadow quite dominantly. Now spring sunsets, they were a bit of a disaster.
San Quirico d'Orcia is disappearing under a cloud. Okay, you're just going to have to trust me on this. I've just got the most amazing rainbow. The sun came out, oh my goodness, over the farmhouse over there. The rainbow was staggering, and then it all got a bit windy, as you can probably see. So we are about to cop some very big something or other, as I can see the storms coming towards me. How exciting.
So I retreated to the car, where it got a bit too exciting for my liking. Just around the corner, a flash of lightning landed just on that road. I'm a little disappointed with this shot. You get the drift though. Storms, rainbows, done.
Pros and cons of coming here late May, early June. I have the crops, they're still out, they haven't been taken down yet, and that means some really interesting foregrounds, as with the flowers, and just really fun to utilise in the fronts of shots and perhaps throw out a focus. The birds and the bees, not a euphemism. It's been really lovely. We've seen things I haven't seen for years, like hoopoes and other things that make weird noises, and the bees around those flowers are intense. Now, I'm also very aware that in May an awful lot of photography tours take place, and they tend to take place about 2 or 3 weeks earlier than we are here, and I think that makes quite a bit of difference. I think you get a longer shooting time. So I really only have had about an hour and a half really lovely shooting time every single day, which has meant getting up early, which I don't mind a jot. I mean, who would in such a glorious place like this? I just don't know how to say this, but Caesar's just turned up with Charlie Chaplin. So of course, with that lovely weather comes the threat every afternoon of a storm. In fact, we've had it rumbling around the valley every single time, but that's also snuffed out sunset, which is a little bit of a shame. But there we are, it's just swings and roundabouts.
Let's face it, you can't really go wrong with somewhere as gorgeous as Tuscany. However, your choice of seasons will have a profound impact on what you can shoot.